Hi, this is a recorded lecture for the DPDT topic 2.4 Clean Technology. So to start with, a definition. Clean technology, this is products, services, or processes that reduce waste and require the minimum amount of non-renewable resources. So here's some essential ideas that you need to have and understand for clean technology. Clean technology seeks to reduce waste and pollution from production processes through radical or incremental development of a production system. Clean technology is found in many industries, including water, energy, manufacturing, transportation, advanced materials. And as Earth's resources are depleted, designers need to look for solutions to be less reliant on obsolete, polluting technologies. So these are the technologies that we've been using since the Industrial Revolution, and we need to move away from a lot of them. The convergence of environmental, technological, economic, governmental, and social factors help to produce legislation and solutions for better resource management. Here's a couple videos that talk about clean technology, so have a look at them. So this is what is clean technology, and these kind of also go through what clean technology is. Here's a couple other ones. This is talking about the types of hydrogen, so moving to a hydrogen-based economy. And this is an interesting video that shows how you might store electrical energy in a form of potential energy when you're using renewables, because this is one of the biggest problems with renewables. They're great when the sun's shining and the wind's blowing, but when those two things aren't happening, you need to store that energy some way. And this is actually using potential energy to store energy from wind and solar and other renewable resources. So it's an interesting video. Have a look at that one. You need to understand the historic context about why we care so much about clean technology. So watch this video to get some understanding about the human impact on the environment. And the answer is we've had a big impact. So do watch this because it's a good video. Same with this. This is a video about pollution. So have a look through this video, see how pollution affects the environment. This is a great video. I absolutely love it. It goes from the 1600s all the way up to the present, talking about the air that you have in London. And it goes into, for instance, the great smog of London in the 1950s that killed a lot of people. So air pollution can actually be deadly. And there are some estimates that a good percentages of the deaths that happen around the world could be prevented if we had cleaner air. So clean technology, again, this is the definition here, but we have to understand that manufacturers, they respond to legislation and pressure in order to clean up their manufacturing. And so we're going to talk a little bit about promoting positive impacts, or trying to get manufacturers to clean up so they can promote positive impacts, ensure neutral impact, minimizing negative impacts through conserving natural resources, reducing pollution and energy use, and reducing waste and energy. And this is from the IB, and you definitely need to know that. And the IB really loves their drivers. So when we start talking about drivers of clean technology, it's important that you understand that you always see these questions on tests. So some of the drivers, we're going to go through them, but manufacturers generally don't want to clean up production unless they have to, because this cuts into profits. So one of the ways that we can drive manufacturers to clean up their production is through laws. So legislation. And so laws considered collectively to address a certain topic. So this is called legislation. Countries can pass legislation and force companies to clean up their act. And, for instance, the EU has very strict regulations. For the IA, this is actually a good source for you to research what are the environmental regulations that the EU has, because they tend to be the strictest in the world, and they're quite a big market. So that means that if you can sell something in the EU, you can basically sell it everywhere. Legislation is a driving force for industry to clean up manufacturing processes. And this could be current or forthcoming legislation, and Basically, companies need to do this to conform to government legislation, and they also avoid penalties. And here's some environmental law that has changed manufacturing. So the Clean Air Act in the United States, the Forest Code in Brazil, India's National Green Tribunal Act, China's environmental protection laws, and International Whaling Commission's implementation. So these are different legislation that was passed around the world. Another driver of clean technology can be the community and the media, because essentially people don't want to live around harmful waste. So if you are in a community and you are next to an industry that is polluting your environment, you might not like that and you might protest. There are also pressure groups such as Greenpeace that can force legislation to be developed. And then, of course, bad media attention equals bad sales. So if there's a company that's polluting and this is something that the media is covering, it's on the news, people might not buy their products. There are also international treaties and targets. So an example would be the Kyoto Protocols, which seek to reduce the CO2 emissions to below the 1990 levels. And you can look at this link above and get some information about that. There's the Paris Agreement. So this is also on CO2 emissions. And have a look at this video. It'll explain what the Paris agreements are. And there's also some, we're talking about international mindedness. There are a lot of countries that are like, we didn't do this. There's a lot of small countries that aren't industrial, haven't industrialized, and they're going to suffer because of large countries polluting. So, arguably United States, China, and the EU, those countries have been the most polluting in history. And yeah, granted, they're cleaning up their acts now, but they should also maybe mitigate the effects on small island nations or other nations around the world that are suffering from climate change related disasters and the effects of climate change. So it's an interesting video right here to watch about that. We're going to talk quickly about the incremental versus radical solutions for clean technology. So an incremental solution, I would call this evolution versus revolution. So evolution is when you make small changes along the way, but over time those add up to big changes. So incremental solutions are like evolution. So it's products which are improved and developed over time, leading to new versions and new generations. Revolution or radical solutions, this is where a completely new product is devised by going back to the roots of the problem and thinking about a solution in a different way. And you need to think about, this is from the IBE, so you need to think about and consider approaches for cleaning up manufacturing and the advantages and disadvantages of incremental and radical solutions. For incremental solutions, these are the advantages here, and here are the disadvantages. So an advantage is you can use existing trusted technologies, but it takes a long time. There's limited downtime to production, but small changes may not meet the overall legislation requirements or pressure group or whatever it is that you're working on. There's less uncertainty of success due to trusted known technologies, but needs to make small changes often. It can quickly respond to legislation. This is either forthcoming or changing legislation, but there's saturated and crowded marketplaces and competition. So it can be difficult to change your product in that way. Radical solutions, an advantage is you're exploring a completely new technology, but it's of course costly because of the technology outfitting and the loss of profits during downtime. There's a high potential for market growth, but of course it's costly in the R&D and training and capital, new equipment and things like that. You can create an entirely new industry, but you're uncertain whether it'll be a success. There'll be fewer competitions, but there might be a lot of market resistance. And patenting new solutions, financial and reputational benefits come from that. So, if you're the first to market and you have a patent on something, then no one else can produce it. So you can make a lot of money that way, but that can be unpredictable and might be difficult to start and stop. End of pipe technology. So this is something that we want to think about also. What happens to our products after they are done? So this is an example of electrical consumption and things like carbon sequestration. So end of pipe technology is a technology that is used to reduce pollutants and waste at the end of a process. So for instance, CO2 being pumped into the ground so that it's not in the atmosphere. All right, thank you for watching.